2023, I would say, and I think everybody else would agree to this, that it was all about artificial intelligence. I remember quite well at the end of 2022, we had a research project and we were meeting in Vienna. And in that time of the year, it was ChatGPT just came out. Not a lot of people heard about this, and we talked about this. Some people heard it, some people didn't hear it, and we were all not very sure what exactly to expect from ChatGPT. But I had the notion from the very beginning that this is going to be a very big game changer in 2023. And yes, and this actually happened in 2023. ChatGPT became more and more popular. But of course, you should know here, or the audience maybe would be interested to know, is this really a brand new technology which came up, or did this actually evolve did this also have a kind of history? And if we talk about ChatGPT, this is all about the topic so-called generative AI. And generative AI is actually based on yes, imitating, well, it's based on very, very large models which are trained. And this is, of course, a big effort. So we should all know that this technology, these models, did not just evolve in one day or within a couple of weeks or months. This all happened within the last couple of years, because it is a very, very big effort to train those models. So, but this technology we are talking about here, generative AI, ChatGPT, DALL-E, which uses images in order to create new images or based on text input. This technology started, we could trace that back to 2017, yeah? And in 2017, we experienced, so at least for the people who are following AI topics, that we experienced that there were a lot of research groups who are dealing with large language models. And in 2022, there was a kind of breakthrough with conversational large language models, which came into being. And in 2023, of course, when this came, everybody was very excited about ChatGPT and what ChatGPT could do. And at the beginning, you actually had almost the impression that that it could do anything. Yeah, but well, I would say the average person who got hands-on with ChatGPT tried a couple of things, and of course, it could create texts based on similar text on other text. It can create images. It could create all kinds of data. And during the year in 2023, actually, we've seen then a lot of applications evolve, which have been using this GPT model. And you had, of course, this GPT-3, you have GPT 3.5, which was then trained with hundreds of millions of parameters. And then during the year, just recently, a couple months ago, we had the updated model of GPT-4, which was trained with trillions of parameters. I mean, this is really, really a big effort. And this is the reason. Also, the investments, if you look at the investment landscape, the venture capital companies, they all were going crazy in 2023. Everybody wanted to invest in AI, particularly in generative AI companies who are developing applications, services, and products. In my point of view, this is they were then overseeing a lot of other interesting technologies, because I would consider this as a typical hype which happened in 2023. And they didn't, I even had the impression that companies or venture capital firms investing in startups, that they weren't even looking into the details, and that meaning that asking those companies, okay, do you already have something? You already have a prototype? Lots of companies even didn't have any kind of prototype. They only had a concept or an idea and said, okay, when we get funding, when we get the money, we would actually then start developing our model and training the model. And you should know, training of these models, lots of people don't know that training of these large language models, if you want to do it in a correct way, and have an impact on the market, then this costs millions of euros per month. This is the reason why these funding rounds, good example is Mistral AI, this French company, which was funded a couple of months ago. I think they also received 100 or 150 million. I don't know exactly. So the first question you usually ask yourself, so why does a company need so much money in order to develop AI? I mean, I have been in this space for many years, and we have been developing AI models for at least for 10 years. However, of course, we are not really involved in generative AI, but we are doing like research, and we are doing, our team is actually developing machine learning models for specific applications. And for these purposes, you don't need very large language models, and it's not that cost intensive. But when you talk about generative AI, yes, it is very cost intensive. And it's also interesting to note that it's not only companies like OpenAI in this space, but other companies also involved. And there's a kind of competition was going on in 2023. And some of which are, of course, you have on the one hand, you have the cloud infrastructure providers. This means these are the people who host those servers. Yeah, they host those servers where your models are implemented and trained, of course, like, for instance, Amazon Web Services would be a prominent example, or Microsoft Azure, or Google. On the other hand, you have this competition going on with the chip developers, because you need very specific chips to do this. And NVIDIA, for instance, is a good example. NVIDIA provides, for instance, specific AI empowered chips in order to do this job. And you have Microsoft, you have Salesforce, you have Google, you have Amazon, you have all of these companies. So what we've seen in 2023 was really a big competition between these companies. This is even still going on. And we don't actually know we can only estimate where this journey is going. But of course, next to AI, we also have to talk about other technologies as well. For instance, blockchain technology. I mean, blockchain technology as such, there was a hype in blockchain technology. I admit that. That was during the last couple of years. So similar what we are seeing here in AI, which was happening in 2023, was actually happening with blockchain technology during the last couple of years. I am in the blockchain space since 2017, 2018. So I've been following exactly what has been going on. So when we talk about blockchain, we'll probably also have to talk about Web3, because it's very closely connected to Web3. The hype has been going on in blockchain from, it started about in 2017, 18, 20, 21 till 22. We had this hype, but then after a while, there was some expectations regarding blockchain technologies, regarding cryptocurrencies, regarding decentralized ledger. I mean, this is the overall term for blockchain technology. There were a lot of expectations which actually were not fulfilled as the way people expected this. And they've probably not seen sufficient applications, blockchain-based applications, which have been implemented in the business space, in the different sectors, where, because at the very beginning, we always discuss this, okay, blockchain can do a lot of things for logistics. We can optimize logistic processes, or we can optimize any kind of process, because we eliminate intermediaries, which are usually required for certain processes. We can enhance trust, and so on and so forth. So therefore, this did not materialize, I would say, as the way people have expected this, and therefore they were maybe there was a kind of disillusion happening there, and therefore everybody turned their attention to AI, and blockchain was more or less in the background. Although, since I'm in the space, there were still, of course, a lot of projects were being built, and there's a lot of things happening. Therefore, I said at the very beginning, Irina, that lots of people, due to this hype of AI, they did not really pay attention to what was going on also in the other spaces, in the other technologies. I can say there are still a lot of things going on in blockchain technology. Blockchain technology is becoming more and more mature. There were, of course, during 2023, during 2022, there were also a lot of negative examples. Take, for instance, this project or company of Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX. I mean, which went through the media, where lots of investors, they lost billions of dollars in this issue, and this is also still going on. So lots of people who were involved in this thought, oh, okay, there are a lot of projects out there based on blockchain, based on cryptocurrency, based on stable coins or whatever, and there are lots of people were thinking, okay, we really have to be careful here. There are a lot of scams out there. So these kind of projects, of course, in my point of view, it's absolutely normal that it's always like that. I mean, when a technology evolves, when a technology comes into being, of course, there are always these negative examples. There are always like scammers out there who want to make a profit and fool the people. This is normal. I think we can say that this happens almost in any kind of technology which comes into being at the very beginning. But what is important here are the lessons learned. What type of lessons do we take out of this? Because here we learn a lot. We can see by looking at these negative examples, it gives us some very valuable input and results which we could actually use in order to build better technologies, to optimize technologies, to rethink technologies. I think this is part of the journey. This is something which has to happen. And of course, related to blockchain technology, I mentioned this, we have to also mention Web3. There's a lot of fuss and a lot of talk about Web3. You should know Web3. There's actually no really sophisticated or standardized definition on Web3. It's more like, I think I like to consider Web3 as a concept or as an idea. And when we talk about Web3, we also have to mention what exactly was Web 1 and Web 2. So Web 1, when the internet emerged, when the internet was introduced in the beginning of the 90s. I can remember that quite well because at that time I was studying at a university in Germany, and I remember when the first web browsers were introduced. I mean, this is the time we're talking about. This was Web 1. Web 1 was like people had access to the internet and were only able to read the data, read the information. It was read only. And then came Web 2. I think this went on for at least a decade. Then the concept of or idea of Web 2 was introduced. This was when all of those big companies came into being, like Amazon, Google, of course, was there before, but of course Google played a significant role as well. That was Facebook, and then after that in Instagram and so on, and all those social media companies. This was Web 2, and that Web 2 was about what was more interactive. This means you could actually read, but you can also write, you could create things, but you did not own the data. This means people, of course, but you paid for the data. How did you pay? The currency was actually your own data. This means you provide your own data, and that was a kind of currency. We can say that this is how we paid for actually using their free services, such as Facebook is free, Twitter is free. Now it's called X, but at that time it was still Twitter. Twitter is free, and of course we provide for using those services our data. That was Web 2. Now we are actually we're going to Web 3. Web 3 is more about owning the data. This means we actually come back to the role. Maybe this was even the original idea of the internet, that we become data owners, that we actually take the decision what type of data we want to consume and what type of data we want to share. And when we provide data, we can even make companies pay for this data. So the whole thing is more about decentralization. Everything is decentralized. That's the whole idea. But blockchain is one enabling technology of Web 3. This is how I see it. It's one enabling technology of Web 3, but we also have other enabling technologies, of course. I mean, take, for instance, a big topic in 2023 was also, so at least for the people who are following the what was happening in the blockchain space, were decentralized identities, digital decentralized identities. I mean, how do you do KYC? Know your customer. How do you do anti-money laundering in a way which is more trustworthy, in a way which is easier for the customer? And here you have concepts like decentralized identities. This means I am the owner of my identity, and I only have to actually register. I register once, and it is available in a decentralized manner, and everybody can use it. That means it's very convenient for the customer. This is something which will also come. I can talk about this then for some trends in 2024, 2025 and beyond.